So I'm here today to give you guys an update. I've presented at 1 Million Cups a few times before. I had a few topics that were not exactly the normal ones, but we're here today for an update. We'll go over the agenda, which we're doing right now. I'll introduce Noventum. I'll show you a 1 Million Cups timeline, go over some Noventum financials, talk about challenges, the future, thank everyone, and then go over questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, personal attacks. So Noventum, what do? We create and or modify and sometimes delete custom software solutions, which involve source code in order to solve a problem, usually for a business. So it's important, and I've changed my pitch, my message, to really focus on the results. We're trying to automate. We're trying to make things easier for somebody, not as concerned with which cool technology or language or system we're using, but it's solving a problem.
Good morning, Albuquerque. It's 9 o'clock on Wednesday, and that means it's time for 1 Million Cups. This is a forum for entrepreneurs. And the first thing to tell you is we would like you to check in. And you can do that using your smartphone, point it at the QR code on the screen or any of the rack cards on the table. And that'll let the Kauffman Foundation know that the Albuquerque chapter of 1 Million Cups is thriving. And we would appreciate that. It's not entirely without benefit. If you check in on 3 separate occasions, you'll get a pen. Do it 6 times, you'll get the coveted 1 Million Cups notebook. So don't miss out on a chance to claim your prizes. All right, and here's our mission. It's lonely and difficult being an entrepreneur. So you need some help. And 1 Million Cups is here to be that help. So we're lowering the barrier of access to education, resources, and connection for new and aspiring entrepreneurs all throughout the United States. And the way we do that is that mission comes to us from the Kauffman Foundation. And there are many chapters of Million Cups scattered across the United States, meeting at 9 a.m. local time to assist entrepreneurs. So there's a consistent program, there's a software backend they provide us with, and they provide us with training. And that means that wherever you go, 1 Million Cups is pretty much the same. The people are different, but the format is the same, and you'd find many of the questions the same. Every local startup community has its own unique advantages, and we try to take advantage of those. We are the top Million Cups chapter in New Mexico, and we achieved that by having a small denominator. There are other chapters scattered throughout the Southwest, and you can visit any of those. As I say, you'll find the format and questions familiar, no strangers, just friends you haven't met. And if you just can't get enough Million Cups, it's going on the East Coast also, so you can check in at 7 in the morning Mountain Time. They're running Million Cups. And you can get over here and get it again at 9 local time. So there's plenty of Million Cups to go around. There's no excuse for not knowing how to be an entrepreneur. All right. And here's our key pillars. These are presentations, not pitches. So in a pitch, either to somebody who's potentially funding you or to a customer, you're putting your best foot forward. You're telling them the things that are most likely to result in success. And you're not telling them about the things that make you stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m. So this is the place to talk about those things. This is the place to open it up, as Brian is going to do, and say, these are our challenges. These are the things we could use help with. And does anybody have any ideas about this? And that's not a pitch. That's an ask for help. And so it's in that environment, we make authentic connections. This isn't a speed dating contest where you see how many business cards you can pass out in 5 minutes. This is a way to establish lasting connections to the community with people you see every week and you can trust. And that means you might actually use some of these folks for your business, as I have. So we're run for the community, by the community. All of our organizers are volunteers. We're not masochistic altruists, at least not all of us. We do get a lot out of running this, and we are radically and intentionally inclusive. So all kinds of people, all kinds of entrepreneurs, all kinds of business are welcome here. And this is a friendly and educational environment. So there's more on our mission statement. It's great to be able to come here and learn things. And so we want to foster an environment where that is a pleasant thing to have happen. So if you're talking to somebody afterwards and they know a lot more about something than you do, you should listen carefully and ask good questions. If it's the other way around, you should be patient and answer the questions as well as you can. If someone says something that you strongly disagree with, it might be a good idea to keep your opinion to yourself in order to foster a polite and friendly and welcoming environment. Yeah, and as Tamara pointed out, I'm not always following that advice, so. You can apply to present. If you have a for-profit business, defined as a business that sells goods or services for more than it costs to produce them, and you've sold to someone besides your mom, and you've been in business for less than 5 years, that's our ideal presenter. Now, we will bend those rules. You might be a little startup that just got some grant money because you have a good idea. You might be a big tentpole company that's been in existence for 10 years and you want to tell us how it's done. All those folks are occasionally welcome also as we struggle to fill the schedule. Right? That's the key. Are you willing to speak at 9 a.m. on a Wednesday? All right, so it's a pleasure to acknowledge our organizing team. I'm Paul Sauter with Equisy. Lisa Atkins here with Fat Pipe. Eric Rins Whitmore is probably up in Santa Fe, keeping the gears lubed up there. Danielle's back and wave and say hi. And Keiko and Oscar are out making other people look good. And this could be you. We have a space for additional organizer. Organizers can bring all kinds of things. You know, different people than the other organizers know. You network with different people. You could bring in different people to present and can bring in people that you know. And plus you'll also get a lot out of it. So think about it. If you want to be an organizer, talk to Lisa about your unique talents and she will show you how to apply online. Okay, also we have sponsors. We couldn't do this without Fat Pipe, which has been our host for over 10 years. Yeah, give them a round of applause. That's great. Drive Beat Photography. Deanna's stuck in traffic. Yep, stuck in traffic, but she's on her way. And she makes us look good every week. More Than Organized. Miriam has brought creamer finally, so those of you who don't drink it black are having a good day today. And she helps organizing your stuff, your plans, and provides creamer. Foundation for Sustainable Living gives us the coffee. Beyond Energy gives us energy drinks if coffee's not enough. Noventum Custom Software, you'll hear more about that today. They write software that doesn't suck. And they also provide donuts. And Minuteman Press is there for all your ink on paper needs, like those table cards are printed by them. So if you need to print something, look them up. All right, and with that, I'm going to introduce the presenter since I coached him, right?
Sure.
It is a real pleasure to introduce Brian Steiner of Noventum Custom Software. And, you know, I told you that, like, it's important to cultivate connections over the years. And Brian's been a regular attendee at Million Cups, and we've gotten to know each other. We kind of circled each other for a while to get the other guy calibrated, and now we communicate fairly well. And Brian is building custom software for Equisy, and he's going to give you an overview of his business right now.
Thanks, Paul. So I'm Brian. I own Noventum Custom Software, and we make the world better through custom software. Paul came up with his own tagline for us, which works too, but that's what I came up with. So I'm here today to give you guys an update. I presented at 1 Million Cups a few times before. I had a few topics that were not exactly the normal ones, but we're here today for an update. We'll go over the agenda, which we're doing right now. I'll introduce Noventum. I'll show you 1 Million Cups timeline, go over some Noventum financials, talk about challenges, the future, thank everyone, and then go over questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, personal attacks. So Noventum, what do? We create and or modify and sometimes delete custom software solutions, which involve source code in order to solve a problem, usually for a business. So it's important, and I've changed my pitch, my message, to really focus on the results. We're trying to automate. We're trying to make things easier for somebody, not as concerned with which cool technology or language or system we're using, but it's solving a problem. So what's source code? Well, this is an example of defining a bed type in one of our applications that helps a nonprofit manage their homeless clients. So they put them into houses. So we have to define what a bed type is. And this is what it looks like. So this is a commit for changing different types of beds. And this is what we do, right? We know many different languages, many different frameworks. We can look at these things and come up with business solutions that are ultimately based upon the modification or creation or deletion of source code, which is what machines use to do work for us very, very quickly and efficiently and hopefully correctly. So we have products and services. An example of our product is our roofs product, which we have in use for one nonprofit that helps homeless people. That one is under a monthly license and support deal, and we are paid basically rent for ownership and for maintenance. The more common or familiar aspect would be our technical services. And Paul mentioned EquiSeek, and they're a great example. We maintain, create new systems for EquiSeek as a service, and they pay us. We also have a slight amount of ownership in their company, so it's a combination of both of them. So usually that's a pretty strict distinction, but for EquiSeek, it kind of bridges both. So what have we done at 1 Million Cups? Boom, 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 boom. We presented first in 2018, but before that, we started bringing donuts, and I think I attended in 2015, but I'm not exactly sure. I did an introductory talk, and then I did almost the same talk 2 years later, but I added a challenges slide because I started to actually understand the purpose of 1 Million Cups. I gave an Activate NM update and then an intellectual property talk after my trademark disaster was thankfully resolved. And then we're at today. So I've been involved for a little while. I think one of the best ways to look at a company is through its financials. Gives you a picture of what's going on. I like to break down our work into two categories: software engineering, which is the traditional database development, custom reporting, mobile apps from Android to iOS. I need a system to generate a report on all this medical data, all this horse genetic data, on anything and it's very, very flexible. So we can generate a system to help model and track and look on pretty much anything. The other aspect would be what I call technology-enabled marketing. So if you own a small to medium-sized business and you need help with that, we can help. Or even nonprofits. For Chuck, we helped him with managing Google Grants, with Google Workspace for his nonprofit. We helped him set up some infrastructure for his organization to function more efficiently. And I lump that into this WordPress development because WordPress is a platform that we normally use, but technology-enabled marketing is probably a better term. And then other random things that I do for money that I'd rather not talk about, which is the other category. And the reason that I broke this into sort of weird, not standard financial reporting times is because that's what I did about 3 years ago. So I wanted to do an apples to apples comparison. This is the second half of 2023. So the last 6 months of last year. This is the breakdown based upon categorization of our income. If we take a look for the same period, but 3 years earlier, this pie looks a lot different, right? Software engineering is a smaller chunk, WordPress development is a larger chunk, and then the unpleasant things that I do for money that don't really fit into our core competencies are a much, much bigger chunk. So I'm happy with the way this has changed in 3 years. And this question normally says, well, Brian, how do these pies differ in size, right? So this is a relative comparison, but what about absolutes? So that's what it looks like. We're about 41% higher for the same period in terms of total revenue, which again, isn't the whole picture because you'd really need to look at all the expenses, but this kind of gives you an overview. Recurring versus not. This is another category of revenue. My friend Bruce said non-recurring revenue is like crack. You're always looking for your next hit. And if you know Bruce, that fits. But he's also right. So if you take a look at the last 6 months of last year, that's pretty good. This looks like a business and not just Brian hustling as hard as he can for individual sales, which is what happened 3 years ago. So the 2023 revenue is 21.7 times as big as the 2020. And this has been a really big focus. Like I have really transformed our business and my wife has been super helpful with getting the recurring payments going. If you signed a contract with me, you realize that I basically strong-armed you and said, we're not going to do anything after we fix your initial problem unless we get a recurring contract. So that has required a lot of discipline, a lot of change. It's been a big change. And this pie chart is really just a demonstration of that. Intellectual property versus not. That's another category. So the last time period under analysis, we had about 12.6% of our developments that I would classify as IP related. And the way that I define this is where we either own the product outright, such as our homeless application and another product that we're working on, we have an equity agreement in place, such as with Equiseek and a few of our other clients, or I've seriously considered an equity agreement. And that one is interesting because what will happen is we'll get a large amount of cash for development. The client's very, very happy. They want a discount. And I'm talking to them about equity deals. The New Mexico Angels helped me out tremendously with that. Before I took their intro to angel investing class, I had no idea about any of this stuff. I messed up a bunch of deals, and I'm effectively negotiating a cap table and a term sheet in exchange for a discount in software development. And I didn't even know what those terms meant before I took the class. So don't sign an equity deal unless you take their class or you have a lawyer or you know what's going on, because I messed that up terribly. That's a whole nother presentation about the deals that I messed up without understanding that. So this is all right. And the comparison to 3 years ago is actually worse. And the reason for this is because 3 years ago, we had 2 deals, one of which turned out to have actually negative value, which is a whole nother story. Another one had 0 value. And then the third one was a big development push on a product that actually has value. So this has gone down by about half, and the relative percentage is significantly lower, but one really big deal can impact this a lot. So I'm working on this. This is something I'm still working on. Hopefully in the next 3 years, I can show you a different pie chart that has a little bit of a better picture here, but that's my focus. That's what I'm trying to work on. And ultimately, I mean, it makes sense. If we're doing technical consulting, technical contracting, we're developing, of course, genetic expertise. We're developing, protein folding, protein engineering expertise, or at least we can talk to the person, not maybe expertise, but we at least can model their problem well enough to help them sell tickets, to help them sell genetic test results, to help them do whatever they're doing. And if we have a product, we can really focus on that and we can scale it. Most consulting companies don't scale. And that's the reason for this focus is how can I get a product that I can sell again and again and again without having meetings, without understanding their needs, without a custom solution. Wages. This is by far our biggest expense. So I'm not going to go completely into like a profit and loss statement or the inventory with the asset sheet, but this will at least show you kind of what's going on. So the time period here is a little bit different because this is when I started using our current spreadsheet up until today. But you can see how this generally has changed depending on, when somebody left the company. Christmas bonuses for December. A really big project that involved contracting plus hiring Matthew. The contract ended, and then we had a big cut from a client, and one of our people voluntarily left, was managed out. But it gives you sort of a picture of what's going on in terms of our wages and the general upward trend, but with ups and downs, right? That's not like 2024 is not substantially higher, but if we looked even further back, it's a general upward trajectory with a lot of bounces. So most of my benefit comes from my position as the CEO, manager, salesman, like actually doing work, right? Not very much as the owner of Noventum. I think that's all right. There's still a lot to do, a lot of work. It's not like I can hire professional managers or delegate. This is an improvement from all in 2020. So I'm working on that. The recurring revenue component is a big part of that. I think the IP component is going to be a big part of that. And I could probably sell Noventum if I had to. I'm not looking to do that. Previously, I think it would have been impossible. There wouldn't have been anything without me. Now it just would be very difficult, which is better than impossible. So the challenges, what are some of the things that I deal with, that I think about, that I'm worried about, that I'm trying to improve on? And I really divided these to 2 categories, the things that are outside of my control and the things that are inside my control. For outside of my control, inflation, layoffs in the tech sector, and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict have all impacted us fairly substantially. Inflation is difficult because our funded startup customers have trouble maintaining their funding levels. They're having trouble with the next rounds. Their runways are getting shorter and shorter and shorter, and then they have to make some difficult decisions. The layoffs have been rough. There's a ton of competition and fewer resources. That's You know, when Google is just sucking every single person up that can code with any competency, it's kind of easy if you don't work for Google, you don't work for Sandia, and you're like, hey, I'm available. You were like, great, there is no one else. When there are lots of other people, it's different. The Russian-Ukrainian conflict has been interesting. You know, we had to be flexible with one of our programmers when he left the country of Russia very suddenly to avoid being drafted. You know, as a trade-off there, you can also get Russians and Ukrainians pretty inexpensively now. So there's still opportunities with these challenges. But inside my control, the things that I've had to deal with would be letting people go when they aren't exactly the best fit, but also there's just a lot of economic pressure. If they're only on one project and their one big project cuts and they don't have any of the other skills that we need for our other projects, it's rough, right? Like I didn't think I would ever be in that situation, and I was, and you know, I didn't make a decision quick enough, but I did eventually come to the correct conclusion. I've really been struggling and trying to work on adjusting my focus towards a scalable product and providing services to clients with equity deals. You know, in addition to getting paid and not just going for crazy moonshots with people that have absolutely no chance of any type of success whatsoever, which is usually what you see with equity deals. Building a sales team, building a management team. And those are issues because I think I'm pretty good at building a tech team. I can find people, I can train them, I can set them to be successful if they have the right attitude, the right base of skills. I'm not quite there yet with the non-technical teams. I'm working on it. So if you have any suggestions or books, Drucker is just like my favorite for management books, just fundamentally invented the discipline of modern management. But anything that's maybe a little bit more practical and not quite so much first principles might be helpful. And the future, the scalable product, that's what I'm working on. I do all of the sales, almost. You know, we get some help. Matthew does a lot of the setup, does a lot of the marketing. The stuff that he brings to me is way easier. So the marketing help is great, but I am the one that is closing these deals, building them forward. I need to change that. I can't be the only salesperson. And I definitely plan on continuing to bring donuts to 1 million cups. So don't worry about that. And thank you. That's my presentation. Thanks to my wife and my kids for all their support. Matthew helping us stay organized, the rest of Noventum, the 1 Million Cups organizers, and you all for listening.
Hi, I'm Paul with Equity, right? So for the benefit of the audience, right, I want to let everyone know what technical services actually means. So, okay, we needed to migrate. I mean, our website was built by someone who was self-taught, and it was built like 7 years ago, and it was more of a science fair project than a commercial website. And so Brian undertook the task of rebuilding it, which has taken a while. And basically it's like, okay, you pay us X dollars a month and we'll provide that amount of work in addition to technical assistance. And what that means is on a Saturday at 6 p.m, something isn't working. The website doesn't work. And I don't know if all of you have experience with this or not, but software is now sort of cooperative. So somewhere halfway around the world, someone pushes a button, some widget that every piece of software uses breaks, and your website doesn't work. And I don't know how to fix that stuff. So I text and call and email Brian, and they slide down the brass ladder, jump in the red truck, start the siren, and they fix it, right? They fix it. So that, you know, you have to have that. And if you don't have IT people on salary in your company, you need to outsource that emergency stuff if you have a website that's doing. So I just gave part of your talk for you, and you can comment on that.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. So Paul gave a really good example of break fix, right? So something breaks, we fix it. And that's unfortunately a large part of what we do, especially at first. But with Paul's example, we're continuing to offer that support. But we also replace large sections of his web application with WordPress, because there's no reason that marketing content, the e-commerce, that these things that all businesses share need to be written as a custom application science fair project by a first-time programmer. Right? Those can be commercially available, supportable components that his marketing people, that Paul can go in and change text, change images, change all that stuff. So that really has been more of a medium-term solution. And then long-term, he's probably explained to me alleles, genes, allele pairs, and pairs of pairs for a genetic disorder that is more than a single allele thing. So we can model it correctly and migrate data off of this old system and onto a new system that we built. It's going to be much more maintainable. We're not going to have to be fixing it, right? My goal is everything works for Paul. It's great. He doesn't have to call us, and we get paid each month for doing less and less work because the systems work better and better and better until he says, hey, let's add this cool thing. Let's add this other thing. Things have been slow. And I say, yeah, Paul, let's do marketing boxes that people can buy. And then you've got them all on the shelf. So we'll add the new e-commerce product. We'll do all the work to make that happen. And that's basically how our support agreements work.
Thank you. Athena Christodoulou, couple hats, co-owner of Cecil Power LLC, CEO of Udorme.com, which is presented here, and now running for Senate in New Mexico. They all play into this. So ready? Your company, Noventum, set up my website for my campaign. And because campaigns are not financed by anybody but the people who give money, the party doesn't contribute anything. It goes down if I lose, which I have 3 times. And but now we have the opportunity to make it even better. I had a comment on it because they designed it. Every time I bring it up, people are like, wow, this is even better than the president's website. Yes. So there's that. I'm raising money so I can pay him. The second is I am so glad to see that you're doing equity business plans, with Udorme. I think that's going to be a winner. The third thing actually is a question. You mentioned nonprofits for roots. And one thing that I've come across in my knocking on doors running for Senate are people are worried about homelessness. And you seem to have a solution that might work for bigger entities. And I'm just wondering if you've made the connections with not just nonprofits, but with governments.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Athena. Athena and I aren't always in alignment about our political views, but she's always been honest and fair and good to deal with. So I always support her. Probably worked on 3 or 4 projects for her. And my wife is the one that designed your beautiful website. I just put together the machinery and she put the paint on that. So thank you. Nonprofits are poor. There's a paper called The Starvation Cycle of Nonprofits by the Stanford Social Sciences Institute. And it talks about how their funding model is based upon direct delivery of service. And unfortunately, we're overhead. So even though our product allowed a nonprofit to become close to twice as efficient, maybe about 70 versus 40 clients per case manager with our system versus without. The other nonprofits that I show this to, they love it. They think it's great. And then they can't pay because they have no money. So I started going after the city director of homelessness. Chuck actually set up a meeting with Carol Pierce, the director. And about a month after our meeting, she retired. So that whole process began again. I've talked Matthew's beginning a campaign for city council, not a campaign, but a marketing and sales campaign to organize me to start calling the counselors. I'm waiting a little bit. I have another product that I'm involved with where the guy's doing a similar thing with the council members. We'll see how that goes. I want to go after the state. I think that our reporting is good enough and that we offer a good enough solution for a very small segment. Homelessness is a big problem. Our product helps out at the very end of that. People that can live on their own, that don't have substance abuse problems, that don't have mental health problems, that don't have criminal justice problems, but can't quite make enough to pay the rent, right? Those are the people that are on the permanent supportive housing vouchers. They're not the street people. They're not people that are living in halfway houses with extreme help and care 24/7. They're just people that are poor, right? Not with all the other problems that are associated with homelessness. It's one of the most cost-effective things to do, but it's also one of the most long-term things to do. We have to model relationships between landlords, tenants, funding agencies, nonprofits. Every time somebody gets paid, there are about 6 different entities that are involved because of how complicated this is. And 4 or 5 of them all have their own rules and reporting, different things like that we have to take care of. So it's It's long-term, it's a good solution at the end, but a lot of politicians just want to have a ribbon cutting ceremony on a shelter because they can get it going quickly. So we're working on modules for that, but really we're just this one little chunk of the homeless problem. But your point is still valid. Instead of going after the poor people, the poor nonprofits, I should be going after the people with money. So my plan for that, I have a really good relationship with Mark Fidel. He has a ton of experience in state contracting. Once I can get a contract with him that has a commission-based sales agreement, that's kind of my plan to go after the sale to the state. But I just, after my 6th meeting with the city, and they wanted to have a 7th meeting to determine who should go to the 8th meeting, I was like, I can't do this, guys. You like it? I'm underneath the competitive bid and let's just do it. Let's roll the dice. Everybody here likes this, right? And they're all, yeah, we just have to get some more, what did they say? Some more momentum or some more buy-in or some more speak that didn't really mean anything. And then I was like, I just can't do this, guys. I can't keep going to meeting after meeting with the city. Like, I just can't. Like, I'm not gonna do it. So that's like me, right? That doesn't mean someone shouldn't do it. It means that Brian Steiner can't sit there and talk about who should come to the 7th meeting and maybe the 8th or 9th meeting. Did that answer your questions?
Hello, I enjoy your presentation.
Thank you.
And you have a beautiful wife, beautiful family. That's awesome to see them supporting you in this presentation and what you're doing. I would like to know your why. Why you started this company and what is your projection in the next 3 to 5 years? How much is the profit you're wanting to make? How many clients do you want to reach per month? And what are you doing to achieve that number?
Yeah, so I remember when I came here and Lisa and Stu and a bunch of other people gave free office space and a bunch of things for the Super Sweet Dig startup contest. So thank you. And then I was talking to Lisa and she said, oh yeah, you have a lifestyle business. You just want to live the lifestyle that you want to live. And I didn't really know what she was talking about. And she was right. That's why I started the business. But that's no longer really what I want to do, right? Like I think that with our technical skills, with our abilities, with my management skills, I should be able to build something that scales a little bit better. You know, I'd like to increase my reach. Previous presentation, I had a panopticon image, which you might know about, and then I had a lighthouse. Those are basically the same structure, but a panopticon is a prison and a lighthouse helps guide ships. So I would like to build something that's more like a lighthouse that helps nonprofits, that helps farmers, that helps different people do things that are positive in a scalable way. Profit, that would be nice. My goal has always been to make more than I could working at Sandia or another place here locally as a bachelor's and a master's degree computer science person with a bunch of experience. And I'm close to that. It might not be always there. Some months it might be a lot better. Some months it might be worse. So there's still the lifestyle component. So it's not like we do have specific revenue goals, but the wages, the expenses go up as I have to service those contracts. So I'd like for the scalable products to help with that too, because then, your unit cost goes to 0. What does it cost to duplicate a piece of software? Nothing, right? Or close to it. You still have to support it, but it's not like the actual duplication costs much with metal and a factory and things like that. So, I don't have exact answers. Those are kind of general, but hopefully that answered.
So I went to the internet and checked Noventum. I noticed different things, and this is my feedback. Right here in this room, you had more than 3 amazing reviews that will want me to make me go with you and work on my website. I have met you, or I have seen you for over a year already, and you and me have not had a conversation, not one, about what product you offer. You said in your presentation, you are the sales rep for your company. It looks to me that you're a little hesitant in talking about your product because somehow you feel that your product is too overpriced and not many people is able to pay for it. First of all, you need to believe in what you're bringing and the value that you bring to the table. And just the reviews that I heard here from people that are professional, just get a video review from them. Like send them the link to your Google account. I didn't see no one review in Google. I see it in Facebook, but you want to target different areas because people is going to go to Google and search Noventum. I don't see a review, then that tells me, should I trust you or not in developing? Are you worth 10,000 or 15,000, whatever you charge to develop my website? And then target the audience that has the money and is willing to pay what you are charging for your product, because your product is high quality, and that's what I got from what people said here. So just focus on marketing and even use your wife, like she's beautiful to, like, if she believes in what you do, make her be your sales rep. Like, talk to people.
Yeah, thank you. So I mean, I think that part of my weaknesses are marketing. When I hired a marketing person, she was like, how do you even get new clients? I don't see anything. And I was like, yeah, through sales, like not marketing, but sales. And she's like, huh? I'm like, yeah, I talk to people, I call them when I have a target, I add them to our CRM, I follow up, do this, I do that. She's like, yeah, that would be a lot easier if your Facebook didn't suck. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right. You're hired. So yeah, I mean, we need to get better at marketing, right? That's not an inaccurate assessment. And then sales becomes easier when the stuff is inbound. So
I have a networking group I would like to introduce you to, and you might find people there that a lot of entrepreneurs, people, they need websites and they're willing to pay the price to somebody that is knowledgeable to build their website for them. It's just believing in your product and writing those goals. Don't be hesitant. You have the potential to grow and scale for sure. Just focus on if it is the website development, but I see you're having all these ideas, and that's very common with entrepreneurs. We have so many ideas and then we spread ourselves too thin. Market and focus on what is giving you the most revenue and target those companies. And even thinking about doing contract with the government. Sometimes that, I mean, sets the difference on your business. So that's my contribution. Thank you so much.
yes, thank you.
Mr. Brian, JP, I wear a couple hats too. I'm developing some stuff. I'm in the IoT lab across the parking lot over there. I'm learning a lot about programming. And I understand the challenge of programming and the challenge of presentation, and meaning that program has a face to the world, being a website or some kind of tool. And so I have two questions. One's a suggestion. I see you up here talking very casually and comfortably, and I think you could be a great teacher. So if there's a way, maybe you could find Noventum classes. I know you do a WordPress class. I'm not sure how much income you make from that. I didn't see that in your chart. Maybe you could talk about that.
Yeah, so thanks, JP. Yeah, so yesterday we offered a WordPress work. So with that 20% of our revenue that comes from WordPress, WordPress is a free product. It's open source. I think we contributed one thing back in terms of source code, but what we try to do is support the work logs, teach people, help them when they go to that event for free. Chuck was there last night. That's how we give back for WordPress and how I support the open source community. Classes, well, I had a guy that was paying our hourly rate to learn databases, which was very difficult for him. And he told me that he had to sell a car to keep paying for the classes. And that, for me, with about 2 or 3 months of hard work, showed me that he was very serious. And I said, well, you know, you're good at construction. Help me for 2 hours for every hour that I help you. And we'll call that good, because I don't want your family to become destitute for paying for these classes. And that's a level of commitment that I like when I'm teaching someone something. And most of the institutions that are teaching people something, they don't believe that if you fail to put in the effort, you should fail, that you should be gone and open that space up for someone else that is going to work hard. So there is a little bit of a difference there philosophically between my approach to teaching and everyone else's. So that would be difficult. I try to do that through our use of internships, which are effectively extended interviews. You know, for 3 months we'll commit for a marketing person, for a tech person. I'll teach them. I'll generate as much as I can. Our junior level people love Noventum because they have a tremendous growing opportunity as well as a lot of autonomy. And they can fail, right? When they fail, we try to do that in smaller chunks with reviews. So it's not a month or 2 months of code development. And then they fail. It's maybe a couple of days or a week. They meet with the junior level guy. Maybe they meet with me, or they meet with the senior level guy. They meet with maybe with me, and then we look at their code. So those type of classes would be very difficult for me to offer through any of the institutions of higher learning.
Well, I was just thinking about STEM because I went to, because our program is kind of within the STEM umbrella. And I saw some stuff and I was just kind of like, wow, Brian could be up here, probably teaching these folks this stuff. And I mean, the boot camps and they're pretty intense, but being an entrepreneur and having side work that actually is within the realm of your technology is, I think, a successful program, because some people like myself do 2 or 3 different jobs and they're not all related to each other. And that's a challenge.
Yeah, and JP, if you want to meet up and go over your stuff, showed me some of your diagrams, your wiring looked way beyond anything that I could do from an electronics point of view. The code I could take a look at. I'm happy to meet with you to help you, but that's a lot different than a class. I've seen your level of commitment and I'm willing to support that.
And so my other question is, everyone really, hears about how AI is affecting the web and technology. And there's so many different applications of it, and there's so many different types of AI. And people that are not educated think that AI is kind of like the wonder solution for everything, and it kind of covers all these bases. And programmers know it's like there's specific systems of AI that just do specific things. And, we have ChatGPT and all these other things that are kind of like general use learning tools. But how do you see that affecting your work, or maybe being inclusive into it at some point?
Yeah, so, one quote that I really like is that the fundamentals embarrass gimmicks, right? So if you have this gimmick, this thing that's new and it's hot, might help you get investment and may or may not help you solve some problems, but there are fundamentals in engineering and in development, software, and business. And I think it's too early to really say. I think that, I take a very conservative approach. I might miss some trains because of that, but I think that with the money that's going into it, it's going to have some impact. I remember reading a study about blockchain, cryptocurrency, maintaining records in a distributed fashion. The company that was studying it found 60 blockchain projects. 59 were abject failures. They were complete failures, waste of money. And 1 was indeterminate, right? But it was too early. You look at the early internet with pets.com, tons of things collapsed, right? The 90s, at the end of that was just, everybody was spending on all these hypey things that were amazing and going to transform the world, and 90% of them collapsed, and what grew from the ashes was actually valuable. So I think that that's where we're at with AI. I'm not sure. I talked to the NMAI guy, and he had a big project linking up. It was really cool. It was medical data, jail data, and homeless data. I was like, man, this is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted, because I think we could show how these specific actions save money, right? If you put somebody in a house, maybe it's cheaper than putting them in an ambulance every 2 weeks, right? And what he found is that the data collection and data cleanup standards were so low that he couldn't line anything up. His AI system didn't do anything except it figured out how to unredact some of the PDFs that were redacted in a very terrible way. And that was the conclusion of his big AI project. He said, garbage in, garbage out. Right. And I don't think AI is going to magically solve a ton of problems yet. I do like Skynet, those type of things, but I don't think we're there yet. But I also, I'm not sure. I can't predict the future.
Well, anyway, Brian, I support you from behind the scenes. I like you as a person, and I think you have great assets towards this community, and I wish for your success, any small part that I can do. So thank you for being here, sir.
Yeah, thanks, JP.
Hello, Miriam Ortiz-Pino with More Than Organized. I've known you like 10 years now. 2 things I wanted to point out. One, I love the fact that over the years, I've watched Brian look at every problem as a problem to be solved and goes out and actually solves it. And I'm so envious because I still have a lot of problems I had 10 years ago. I have new ones too, but I just really admire that about you and your focus to always be improving your business, not just going about it day to day and not watching it grow. So that's been really inspirational, I think, to a lot of people in the room. So there's that. Second thing, your question about management and learning more than just the one-on-one overview. I feel like I have some resources for you, but I still just not quite coming up in my brain. So we need to get together about that. And then I think the sales, I'm in the same boat of the only money I get is when I'm out hustling. The recurring revenue comes and goes. It's like, I think it's working and then it goes away. So I feel your pain there and we should probably collaborate on that a little bit. But I just wanted to give a shout out to how impressive it is that you keep growing and evolving the things and even your problems with people over the years. I know one of those issues was tangentially connected to me. And I've been to the WordPress work-longs, not for a while, but that helped me figure out when to let a different web designer go and that kind of thing. So just always thanking you for your support and your growth. So
Well, yeah, you're welcome and thank you. And my wife has definitely been a big part of that and 3 kids are expensive.
focus.
So thank you. It is my privilege to ask you New Mexico's
No,
state
Paul, they can't see
question.
television.
Oh, yeah. Hey, red or green?
So generally green, but red has its place on pork and I think on some chocolates.
Yes.
Yeah, red chili and chocolate is perfect. Green with chocolate, no, definitely not. And what can this community do for you?
Yeah, so if you know anyone that is involved in solving or trying to solve homelessness, I'd like to talk to them. We have an agricultural spray drone project that we're working on that also, so if you know any ranchers, that would be good. Not really farmers, there's a big difference there. And then if you need any technical services or technology-enabled marketing, come talk to me. So those are the kind of 4 things.
So thanks so much. And Brian is the only person I know who's working on robots to kill sacred datura. So thanks again, Brian. We have a lot of new faces here. Come on up and introduce yourself. It doesn't work as an entrepreneur to be shy. I'm standing here holding a microphone. You could be holding that microphone. And if you point it directly at your mouth the way I do, like kind of like Mick Jagger does, you could be heard. And if you hold it down here like a talisman, you can't. All right, so let us know who you are, what brings you here, and we'll give you a round of applause.
Hi, my name is Mark S. I'm a recovering entrepreneurial alcoholic. So I'm new in town. I got here 3 weeks ago from Kansas City, but I spent 20 years in Silicon Valley before that. I met Gary Oppadall 24 hours after I got here. He said, come here on Wednesday, say hi to Stu and Lisa. And I just want to get into the community. In 20 years in Silicon Valley, I worked on 5 startups. The 4th one, I was a co-founder and we had a successful exit, not a winning the lotto exit, but a successful exit, sold the company to another company, who then sold it to Western Digital. I've got a lot of experience in strategy, marketing, and I just kind of want to make myself available, see what opportunities there are here. I just decided I wanted to live in Albuquerque, but when I was in Kansas City, I dipped my toe in the waters there and I went to the Kauffman Foundation building and I did a seminar on startup boards, and they have a global entrepreneurial week. Every year I did a presentation on how not to start your startup at that presentation 2 years ago. So I might be able to do that if you need a presenter sometime.
Actually, we'd love to have like a workshop at Fat Pipe for that. Kaufman doesn't really like those types of things done because it's for the entrepreneurs. But if you want to do a workshop, we'd love to have you. Okay.
I learned a lot of lessons the hard way, so you don't have to.
Great. That sounds like a great workshop.
Ready? Can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right, not doing this. I'm Thomas Dukeman. I just moved here recently from Omaha. I followed my wife to a job at Sandia, shocker. I myself am just in cloud engineering. That's what I'm interested in, is infrastructure. And I stumbled across 1 Million Cups in Omaha. And I was like, I wonder if there's one here. And there is.
Well,
So-
is it different?
A little bit, it's a little bigger. And there's a lot more, I guess, networking post-presentation. This is a little bit more structured. But I'm impressed and I'm glad to meet all of y'all. And I will meet some of y'all individually, but I gotta run soon.
Thank
So,
you.
nice to meet y'all.
Hello, everyone. You've probably seen me around a couple times. I've been here probably 4 or 5 times now. I wouldn't classify myself as an entrepreneur. I'm creative. I am.
What's your name?
Oh, sorry, that's probably helpful. I'm Shiloh Alderete. And I'm the camera guy. So come talk to me if you want to talk film. That's definitely my area of expertise. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you got up and introduced yourself. I have just a couple of events. I guess if there's anyone in the audience who has an event that they want to share, come on up. And I'll do my quick list first. Lindsay, I think you're online. Thanks for sharing that event with me. I actually already had it on my list, but we'd love for you guys to send me events that I can include in this list because some people ask me to email this list to them after, so they have the links to register. So if you email me at lisa@fatpipebbq.com, I'm happy to send this list to you. So there's not a whole lot going on in April. Most of these are May and June, but Activate NM is doing their speed mentoring for entrepreneurs. So quick advice from experts on May 3rd. There's a link to register for that. NMTC is doing, since their Women in Tech celebration, they are bringing together the honorees and allowing you to drink wine with them and ask them questions. That happens on May 9th. If you want to register for that, I have a link. They have lots of other peer groups that are interesting. I can get you hooked up with their peer groups. And then the Space Fiesta, inaugural Space Fiesta event at the rail yards is June 6th, and they now have a link to register for that as well.
Hi, everybody. Timmy's Closet and What Goes Around are collaborating on Saturday at noon. They're celebrating their 20 years. We're also celebrating sustainability. And so Timmy's Closet is hosting a fashion show outside the East Side. What Goes Around, we invite all of you to come. And we're looking forward to celebrating and showing you what the store has to offer. So thanks.
Hi, Athena again, and I just want to announce the Earth Day Festival that's happening at the Sid Cutter Pavilion at the Balloon Fiesta Park. Entrance is free to $5, and if you come between noon and 4, I'll be there to answer all your questions and lead you to a fossilized carbon-free life. How about that?
What day and time?
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Sunday, April 21st. And the whole event runs from 10 to 4. So come by, go on site, and let me see, I think you can go online and buy tickets at, I think it's Earth Day Festival.
Okay, on May 2nd at 4 p.m., right across the street, the New Mexico Angels is having a spring quarterly event in partnership with the New Mexico Economic Development Department and UNM Rainforest Innovations. So these are 5 finalists from a technology research collaborative board. So the challenge was to have a faculty-student collaboration that is going to result in a commercial product, and they're willing to start a company to do that. So these will be the 5 finalists. There's a serious amount of money available from the state for this, and so it should be really interesting. And that's, again, May 2nd, 4 p.m. at UNM Rainforest.
Laura just shared Barbara Dawson's event in the chat window. So I brought up the website. I think it starts May 8th.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi. My name is Chuck Holman, and I have the ABQ plan to end homelessness, and also I'm helping a lady start a business that is called 21st Century Business Services. And because a lot of businesses are in the 20th century, is not up to date on the 21st century technology. And my latest thing is introducing Dr. Joe Dispenza. Anybody here have heard of Dr. Joe Dispenza? Okay. Dr. Joe Dispenza has answered a prayer I've had for 40 years, and that is, how did Jesus do that? How did he heal people? How did the blind see? How did the crippled walk? How did he heal people? And Dr. Joe Dispenza has scientifically proven how that works. So I'm presenting some programs. I have a program next Thursday morning at 10:30 at the Comanche Community Center. And I'm presenting this as my answer to my prayer of the last 40 years. How did he do that? And introducing Dr. Joe Dispenza and getting a group together. And there's already a Facebook group of 115 people. I'm the 116th person to join that group, to have a study group here in Albuquerque to study the science that he has proven. And also Dr. Bruce Lipton has proven that we're not just our mind, we're not just our body. There is something else there that is going on, and a lot of scientists are calling the higher consciousness. And so that's what we're about, to educate everybody else on what's going on. So I invite you out for April the 25th at the community center on Comanche between Wandabella and Bramway on the south side, and get online also. Thank you.
Wow. So, taking out today, I want to give another round of applause to Brian. Not only for what he's done for his company, but also he's been really open about the times he screwed up, fell on his face, had to pick himself up, dust himself off and say, well, I won't do that mistake again. And he's been really great about that. I mean, I would love to do that for Equisec, but some of the flaming wreckage at our company is covered by NDAs, so I can't tell you. But Brian operates at a different level, and he's been tremendously honest with us. So remember, it's not failure if you get back up and dust yourself off and move on again, right? It's not failure. It's only failure if you don't learn anything. If you just keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, maybe Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. here isn't really the place for you. Right? You ought to get out of that mindset, and maybe some people could help you. I mean, talk to Brian, ask him if he would teach you things, and he's going to see if you're worth bothering with, right? And maybe you can still come here, but just don't talk to him anymore. But no, really. So there are times when you've fallen on your face and you think it's the end. And you just have to say, I can't do this. There are people that are counting on me to keep this going. And there was no way I could learn what I just learned except by picking the gravel out from between my teeth. So get out there and fail and get back up and get up here and tell us about it, because this is something we have to happen every week. Don't fail privately, fail loudly and publicly here at 1 Million Cups. Yeah, we'll all fail together. Come on, see you next week.